2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brandon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
Everything in my life is good. Why do things seem so hard?
What's up, you guys? Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast. I'm Brandon.
I'm Tyler. We're brothers.
We're therapists.
We're not afraid of your questions.
So bring it. All right. That's such a great question, Tyler. Like always, you always have the best questions. So.
Well, this is actually your question today, Brandon.
So what do you know?
Yeah,
hey.
we're gonna get into it.
No wonder that
question's
question's so good.
We're gonna break it down for you.
But before we do, we got a quick review here. It says, "I've learned so much from you personally and professionally. Thank you for your brilliant work. It is so important."
Awesome.
Thank you.
Short but sweet. That's really nice.
I love good thank yous. They feel good. So appreciate that. Those kind words. All right. So you say that this is my question, and I have to admit, I do want to ask this question, but I do have a reason for it, and we're going to get somewhere with it. So just to explain a little bit about what's going on with me personally, nothing too much is going on with me personally. I actually feel like my marriage is in a better place than it's ever been. My kids are all healthy. My career is going really well. I lay in bed at night and I just think about how grateful I am for the life that I have. I play with my dog every day and get to see my kids smile. And I have family like you, Tyler, and just I'm so blessed. And to be honest with you, I'm so happy. Yet there's days I wake up where I feel a little bit depressed, a little bit lethargic, don't really want to move, unmotivated, have questions about where my life is going and why. And it's interesting because there's a dichotomy there.
Yes.
Between what's going on in my life and the gratitude that I have and the blessings that I have and those feelings. And Tyler, I want to ask you why do I have that?
That's a good question, Brandon. And I think I can relate to you on a certain level too. I think this is something, it's interesting to hear somebody in the same sentence be able to say, my life is really, really good. I've got so many blessings and I truly do feel grateful. And there's times when I'm still not happy. And And I think a lot of times, like we get our clients coming into the office in a similar situation where if we really break down their lives, they go, this is good, this is good, this is good. Why am I struggling so bad? Why am I depressed? Or why am I anxious? Or why am I not feeling happiness? And I think there's a couple of things that roads that we could pursue today, Brandon, and maybe we could take one road at a time. The first one is, what is our expectation of what happiness should actually look like?
Yeah.
And we can definitely talk about that. And then the second one that came to mind is, what is our understanding of pain and the way that we view pain in the context of happiness?
Yes. Yeah, both of those things. And then I think there's a third one too, which is to examine, is there a shift that needs to be made just a little bit, a tweak to find get more congruent with your purpose in life, so that those feelings go away. But let's start back with the first one. What is your expectations of life?
Right. What is happiness?
What is happiness?
How do you define happiness? What's going to make you happy?
Is happiness arriving one day at this mountaintop where the beautiful sun is shining down on you and everything's light and easy and comfortable? Is that happiness?
That's a good question. I think that the world tells us that, like we're going to climb, we're going to get to the happily ever after part. And if we just climb the mountain, eventually we'll just stand on the top
BS.
And live forever in bliss.
This BS. The people who don't have the struggle in their life end up suffering a lot of times, where the discomfort is actually a lot of times the thing that brings the happiness. So think about our expectations in life. I'm working toward getting enough money, to getting in shape enough, to getting the perfect relationship. So then everything is just wonderful and all the problems go away. The thing about it is the problems never go away.
Never. Not as long as we're alive. Right. They might change. There's going to be new challenges that come as we conquer old challenges. And sometimes there'll be challenges that never go away that we're going to have to figure out how to be happy through. But that's the challenges that we live in a world where we're taught. And I think sometimes, Brandon, even our clients feel like they're sold a bill of goods that says, if you just do all of this and this and this, then you're going to be happy and blissful the rest of your life. And I think we as therapists probably got to be careful not to sell that, because the truth is that it's just not reality. And the mentality that gets set up goes along with a concept called hedonic adaptation.
Wow. Wow. Jeez.
Let me explain what hedonic adaptation
please do.
is. All right. So please do. So hedonic, is tied to the word hedonistic. And what is it to be hedonistic? It's to be sort of pursuing our own pleasures, to be pursuing something that's going to gratify us and make us feel good in the moment. And what ends up happening is that we get in this pattern, this rat race. It's kind of the idea of keeping up with the Joneses, where I set a target for myself and say, if I just get this job, then I'll be happy. Or if I just have more relationship with my wife, then I'll be happy. And then when we actually get there, it doesn't work. It's like, Brandon, do you remember doing the lawn crew when we were young?
Mm-hmm.
And the very first year that we actually really decided to go and build a lawn business, we set a goal for ourselves. Do you remember the goal?
Oh, it was so small.
It was small,
yeah.
but for us, it was massive. I think we said our goal is in a summer as two high school kids. This summer, we're going to mow enough lawns to each make $10,000.
Yeah.
And when we make $10,000, what are we going to do?
Oh, we're going to go to a Rodizio and just eat steak all day.
That's right. We were going to take ourselves to the Brazilian steakhouse in town called Rodizio's, and we were going to eat steak all day. And I remember that summer that we busted our tails. We worked and we worked and we worked, and we actually ended up making, I think, about $14,000 a piece for this summer.
Yeah, and we thought we were rich.
We thought we were rich, and we never actually even went to Rodizio's.
Yeah.
Because there was the next target for us to go towards. There was the next thing that didn't actually ultimately make us happy. It felt good to reach the goal, but that's what hedonic adaptation is that we're constantly setting the bar so that right when we hit it, it never quite feels good enough anymore. And we have a new bar. and it continues to push us further and further out. And so we're constantly in this rat race of needing more or having to do more. And it doesn't allow us to just be content with the process we're in.
Right. Yeah. They say that happiness exists in the present moment, and all we have is the present moment. I've been watching a lot of movies over the holidays, and it's interesting because this is beaten to our head though, Tyler, and in that you watch a Disney movie, and how does it usually end?
Oh, it always ends with happily ever after.
Happily ever after. So like the couple's getting married on, in the castle. Or yesterday I watched a show called Eddie the Eagle, and it was awesome. And it was about this ski jumper guy, and he had this goal, and he just crushed his goal. And then he flew past, that one, and he's down at the end of the, I don't want to ruin the movie for anyone, but you already know how it ends. I mean, before it even starts. At the end of the show, he's down there, just everyone's cheering and going nuts. And I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, wow, like right then the story ends. The movie's over. Boom. He has arrived. It's happened,
Top of the mountain.
Yeah, he's on that mountain. But then they show a picture of the guy in like today. So that happened in 1987. They show a picture of the guy today, and he looks kind of beat down and tired, and and it's funny. The whole movie, his dad was like, "Stop being an Olympian, come plaster houses with me." I'll bet you he spent the last 20 years plastering houses.
That's very possible.
But the point I'm trying to, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's
Right.
absolutely nothing wrong with that. The point I'm making is that he got to this pinnacle. His goals were realized. And I think you're right, Tyler. We need to find this balance between accepting right where we're at, yet realizing those goals and working toward them. So, the feelings that I've had are telling me something. There's still something else to work toward, to become, to shift, to change into. Yet at the same time, I can have immense amounts of gratitude and happiness for where I'm at in my life. Those two things can coexist. And I believe figuring out how to let them coexist, that's what happiness is.
Exactly, Brandon. That's the challenge but in order to do that, that leads to the second path we were talking about, which is taking a look at how we view pain and discomfort in our lives and how that can fit into the context of what you just said about accepting right where we're at, learning to live in the moment. So it's not that we're giving up goals. We should have our goals. And I believe that all of us as human beings, we have something inside of us that will constantly push us to be better. So we're going to need to set goals. That's going to be part of who we are as human beings. And at the same time, we have to take a real look at how we view pain and discomfort. I'm thinking of like talking to a client just a couple of weeks ago who's gone through a really, really hard time. Their marriage was on the rocks a couple of years ago, right to the point of being broken. Now they're 2.5 years, 3 years into the process. And he can say to me, man, my life is so much better now than it was. Like, I feel so much better about myself. I like who I'm becoming. I'm living with more integrity. I'm so much happier. And yet I don't know if this is working because my marriage hasn't seemed to get better.
Uh-huh.
And it's like somehow he's feeling cheated, that maybe it's not fair that his marriage, the trust building is taking longer than he thinks. And so he's thinking that everything he's doing is maybe all for naught, instead of being able to say, wow, I am grateful for all of these changes that I'm making in my life. And the fact that I'm not all the way there yet just leaves me to be right where I'm at.
Right.
It just leaves me here in this moment, in this process, instead of going, oh, it's all is lost. Like, let's throw it all out the window.
I believe there's one critical ingredient or critical thing that we need to find happiness. And Pema Chodron, she says, happiness is not found by trying to put ground under our feet. Rather, it's found by accepting the groundlessness of our situation.
It's a beautiful quote.
Right? But that word accepting, accepting the groundlessness of our life. If we spend our whole life just trying to become, we're going to miss life. But when we can try and we can work toward things, but accept the outcomes as they come, then we're resonating in some peace and some acceptance. And that's true happiness.
That's a beautiful thought, Brandon. As you're talking, I'm thinking of a couple of trips that we took as boys to Hawaii. And we used to play a game where you'd go out about, waist deep in the waves, and you'd root your feet into the ground. We'd all stand together right where the waves were crashing. And we'd just basically see who could take the pain longest.
That's a good memory. I remember playing that.
Keep your feet planted, but ultimately you'd get pummeled by the waves, and eventually we'd all end up with sand in our hair from being pressed into the ground and being tumbled underneath. And really what we're getting at here is that game is almost a metaphor for that quote you just said, which was, if you go into the ocean, you got to realize that you're in the ocean, and you're going to have to move with the waves. You're going to have to learn to go under the currents or ride the currents instead of trying to stand firm on ground that is not firm, because ultimately trying to play that game leads to
suffering,
being pummeled.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about that game. I really like this analogy a lot, because when I would get pummeled by the biggest wave, I loved it. I loved it. Because that's the whole point. It's like, let it hit me. Like, this is the ocean. I want to feel its power. I want to accept what the ocean is.
I can take the pain.
Yeah. The only reason I didn't love it is because I wanted to beat you at the game.
And the problem is you had a disadvantage because I'm taller than you.
Yeah, but I had more weight to ground me in.
Yeah.
But it is an analogy for life. And really, it's the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset thing, where if I approach life with this openness to learning and growth, then pain actually is an exciting thing. It's a good thing. When pain comes, when difficulty comes. I mean, I can tell you, Tyler, why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. I've been really stressed about a real estate deal I'm doing. Seasonal stuff gets to me when it's really dark and polluted around me. Mm-hmm. Spending a ton of money on the holidays. And so like you put this conglomerate of things all together, and I start to feel a little bit gloomy.
Sure.
That's okay. I can look at those things and I can say, oh, like this is what's going on in my life, and it's okay. I can flow with this. I can roll with this. And I really like that analogy of the waves. Like, okay, there's a big wave coming and kind of pushing against me right now. Maybe it will pummel me. Maybe my real estate deal will fall through. Maybe, I'll have to pay a bunch of taxes and not have any money, and like the worst case scenario comes.
Sure.
And still I can stand back up and go keep playing the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what you just said, Brandon, I think is a tool and a skill that actually can be helpful for people to learn this principle, which is, they start looking at all of the things that they worry about that could go wrong, or that they're stressed about, or that's causing them the pain and suffering in their life. And in essence, what they're doing all day, every day to themselves is living worst case scenario. So why not just pause and work for a couple of minutes all the way through to the worst case scenario? Okay, B. Yeah. You're all of that falls through, and you have to pay a big boatload of taxes, and you're maybe going to go spend some time in jail.
Jail, I like that. Throw that in.
that would suck for you, but you'd ultimately survive.
You're right.
And at the end of the day, you'd continue on with your life, and you'd have to keep moving. And if you work all the way through the end of that worst case scenario, you realize you're at the end result is always, and life would go on, and I'd be okay.
I would go as far to say that all of our emotional suffering is self-inflicted. No, I'm not saying all of our emotional pain is.
Yes.
That's not self-inflicted, but all of our emotional suffering is self-inflicted. When we get stuck and we get trapped and we don't want to move forward, we do that to ourselves. And I know that might not sound very empathetic, and I get hard things happen and pain is real, but we have a choice. We can either stand back up in those waves. We can lay on the beach and let the big waves keep pummeling us over and over again and complain that they're pummeling us. And so, yeah, I believe happiness is found in that place of accepting the nature of life at the same time standing back up and trying to flow with it.
Yes.
Brilliant analogy. Wow.
No, but I think the principle you're talking about here is a key one that a lot of people can hear and go, yeah, I think that sounds right. But as soon as they're asked to be stepping into their own lives with the hard parts of acceptance, there's something that gives a pushback that says, no, like it shouldn't be this way, or no, this isn't right. And that's what you're talking about, the difference between pain and suffering. So you can accept, I struggle with some clinical
resistance versus acceptance.
Exactly. And so it's like, I wake up a lot of days, especially in the wintertime, with that same depression you're talking about. And it's like a cloud that's in my head. And I know I have some clinical depression. And what I do is I have a routine that I call my dailies, where I get up and I do certain things. I do some spiritual things, and I run my dog, and I exercise, and I listen to something to make myself a better therapist. And on the depressed days, I do the same things and I get very little benefit from them. But the truth is that if I don't do those same things, I'm going to suffer worse if I give in and just pull my covers over my head and say goodbye, cruel world, and disappear for the day. And accepting,
you go deeper into the dark hole.
Exactly. So going deeper into the dark hole isn't the acceptance. It's acceptance that I have depression that I don't understand and that I don't know about. But because I accept that that's there, I have to make choices nonetheless to either increase my happiness or increase my suffering. And yes, that's what we always have the choice with. It's back to the whole Viktor Frankl thing, right? That's that space between stimulus and response, where we as human beings can become deciding, choosing beings. And part of our decision is to embrace that life offers us pain.
But Tyler, I want to push back a little bit. When times are hard, I don't want to get up and do my dailies. I want to go to bed. I want to just not go to work.
Amen.
I want to isolate, push people away.
Sure.
I don't want to connect to people. That's the last thing I want to do when I'm stuck in that pain. So, why should I do those things?
All of those things, Brandon, are true, right? I think every person listening right now could say, amen, Brandon, like you're spot on. And how many times have you had a client come into your office and say, oh, I just don't have any motivation, so I didn't do anything? It's like, yeah, well, that's the problem, Brandon. That's what we're talking about here, is it's the way we're viewing those things. It's if I view those things from a different light that says, oh yeah, I am feeling all of these things and those feelings are valid, that then means I get a choice on how I'm going to handle this. And the truth is that motivation comes after the action. Everyone puts it backwards.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if I don't have motivation, it's all the more reason why I'm going to have to find some movement to take action, which I know sounds backwards.
But it's true. Yeah, and it's such a... We're saying, embrace that you feel depressed or stressed or whatever you're feeling. But when you embrace that you feel that, acknowledge it, accept it, and do some self-care because you see that you're feeling those things.
Sure.
Not step deeper into that dark hole, because that's actually, and I think this is the tricky part. When you get further and further depressed, when you don't get yourself out of bed, when you isolate even more, when you don't have boundaries with people at work or whatever, that you're actually resistant. You're actually just trying to avoid it. You're shutting your life down. Your life is shutting down because you don't want to face this world. You don't want to face the reality of it. And as you shut your life down, you want to shut your life down even more. And it just kind of spirals.
That's called depression.
Addiction works out. And addiction, same thing.
Yep.
And so the best antidote to addiction is opposite action, is accepting the addiction is there and then doing the opposite thing of what the addiction is telling you to do. If the addiction says, go crawl in a dark hole, then get outside and have the sun shine on your face. If the addiction says, don't don't call that friend because they don't care anyways and they won't listen, then make the phone call. And I love what you're saying about action comes first and then motivation, because once you make that phone call and you have that empathy, or once you look at the sun and feel that vibrance, then it feels good. Then you're motivated to move in a different direction.
It starts to move, it's like those choices, those pivotal choices right at the first of that, the choice between suffering and getting and maybe more joy is understanding that principle. And the way that we are as human beings, we like to win. And when we feel like we're losing, we continue to lose. There's some statistics that actually show this, where with like fighters, a fighter that climbs to the top and wins and wins and wins, if he wins, he's more likely to win his next fight. If he loses that one of his fights, subsequently, all of his fights afterwards, he statistically is more likely to lose, even if it's the same opponents he had just beaten. And there's something about the brain that works in both directions, where if we win, meaning I forced myself to do one thing and get out and have some sunlight hit my face today, that win fuels something inside of us in our brains that says, oh, I like to win. And then we're more likely to go and carve out a few more wins in our life throughout the day. Whereas if we go and we have a couple of losses, which we all lose sometimes, but if we have the losses and then we view it as a loss, then we're more likely to continue to have that spiral the same direction that you were just talking about.
I think you just said something really important. It's how we view it. I think that we could say you never do have a loss, because you could view everything as an opportunity. You could view everything through that growth mindset. But when you do view it as a loss, and you do view yourself as a failure, and things like that, then it starts to shut you down because you don't want to face those things. So
right. There's some research, Brad. We could probably do another episode another time, but just really briefly on the concept of flow. And flow is this idea when we're living at our most optimum level of performance. And it's a kind of, some people call it being in the zone in terms of athletics. And it's like this blissful sort of state where everything just seems to click. And one of the things that they're finding with flow is that the best way to get into flow, meaning the best optimal performance and this kind of blissful state, is to put yourself in a situation where you have about a 60% chance of losing.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is you tend to rise to the occasion above what you thought your abilities were, because you have this 40% chance of winning. And so you happen to outperform what you think you could do, which then feels really, really good. But if you didn't have that 60% chance of losing, it would either be too easy and boring, or if you're going to lose everything all the time, then it's not worth trying anymore.
Interesting.
And in a way, Brandon, like that's kind of what I think life sort of offers to us on a lot of different levels, is there's always a chance to lose. And if we view it that way, then it gives us an opportunity to see it as this challenge today. Like you get to wake up and go, yep, I got some depression and that sucks and I don't like it. And my life is still good. Like I can still go and live the life I was designed to live today. And I can give whatever's in the tank today, and I'll empty it out and I'll like what I did today.
Right. So I want to kind of shift gears a little bit and just acknowledge something. Like, whoa, Tyler, therapist man, who's just helping all these people, and you get depressed. Brandon, you get depressed. The reality is everybody has struggles and challenges and feelings that drag them down. And we would, for us to get on this podcast and be like, those people that struggle with some depression,
poor them.
Poor them. This is what you do to not be depressed. The whole point of this episode is just that, is to show our audience and to talk with each other that this is life. This is the reality of life. And I'm not saying the reality of life is we're all depressed, but the reality of life is we have our ups, we have our downs, we have our hard times, we have our good times. Sometimes we have our good times and our hard times at the same time. And it's learning how, I really like that. I think you can flow through life a little bit. It's learning how to flow with it and to ride those waves, ride that wave over and over again. I believe when you learn how to do that, there's an ancillary benefit that some people actually experience in their life and some people don't. But when you learn how to flow, when you learn how to face pain, when you learn how to sit in the pain, God refines you, and God refines you more and more, and you start to realize who you are. And as you start to realize who you are, you step more and more into your purpose as a human being. And as you step more and more into that purpose, your energy isn't about resistance. It's about creation. You're stepping into something now because you've faced these hard things. And that's what's beautiful about all this pain and struggle and everything that comes to our life.
That's an awesome thought, Brandon, that idea of the refinery, and just allowing ourselves to view the pain and the struggles that we're in and that we go through as part of that refining process. And when we can view it that way, you're right. I love what you said about connecting it to basically allowing it to show us how God sees us. It allows us to grow in confidence. Like, honestly, if you think about it, Brandon, like some of the challenges that you see our clients go through or that we've been through ourselves, as you go through some of those challenges, in a sense, you become bulletproof to those challenges and similar types of challenges. And that's what you're saying. You grow in confidence and say, I've done that. I can handle that. Like, I've been through things like this before. And that confidence in and of itself then allows us to go look forward and say, what's next?
Yes.
Like, bring it. Like, I'm going to be climbing the mountain, and once in a while I'll climb and hit the top of a mountain, and maybe I'll enjoy it for a few minutes. But I hope that all of us could view our lives in terms of a never-ending mountain that we can embrace, and that the beautiful idea is that we get to change and grow and develop until we die.
Yes.
That's the opportunity that's in front of us. Not like, I better arrive and then have the last 20 years to be in retirement and be blissful.
Yes. I think the attitude is, we can look at this and we can say, God is doing this to me. Like, why is God doing this to me? Why, God? Why? Or we could say, God is doing this for me. God is doing this for me. There's a reason. I that one's better than, why are you doing it to me? But it's still not that great. Like, okay, God's doing this for me. The next one is, God is doing this through me. God is doing these things and these struggles and challenges that are coming into my life. He's doing it because he needs me. God needs me, so he's doing these things through me. He's refining me. And then the last one is, God is doing this with me. Because God is right there and knows what I'm going through and why I'm going through it and why I need to go through it. And that's beautiful. And I can live my life in that faith. Then whatever challenge and struggle comes into my life, I am not just resilient to, but fully accepting of, because I know it's a blessing. And that's the nature of this life, is growth and growth and growth, so that I can step into my purpose with God.
Beautiful, Brandon. And I think the key to that then is the wrestle that we have to actually stay close enough to God to believe that God is with me. And I happen to believe, I look back at my own life and say the times when I felt closest to God have been in my most broken moments, where I felt like I deserved it least, or I shouldn't have that companionship. And yet that's when the companionship seemed to be there, when the wrestle became more clear that God was with.
But sometimes we're taught opposite of that.
I think
when you sin, you're not worthy of God. You're not worthy. And so when you struggle, God is the furthest away.
Right. And that's been, my experience has been the exact opposite of that.
So is mine.
And I think that we're taught certain things in a Christian culture that says you're a sinner, so therefore you're not allowed to have God's presence, when in reality, when you're broken enough because you've been pummeled by what the world has to offer. And I don't know if God does it or if God allows it, but what I do believe is that there's an opportunity, depending on us breaking into God with our humility, for anything to be turned into something good by God, whether he does it or accepts it or allows it. The beautiful thing about the wrestle with God is that it's possible for anything to somehow become beautiful.
Yes. So, wow, we figured it all out today, Tyler.
Yeah, we just basically cracked the code, man.
We joke about that, but I have experienced this in my life. If I can, promote anything, it's growth mindset. It's radical acceptance. It's faith-based living, whatever religion you are, but it's a belief that there's something bigger out there, and you're growing and you're learning for a reason. And because there is a reason, then life is worth living. I believe that's what brings happiness. And so yeah, if you find yourself resistant, if you find yourself going deeper into that dark hole, I hope this episode has helped you start to look at it differently and maybe shift that mindset and do what Tyler said. Just go out and do some dailies, do the opposite thing of what you want to do today, and try to find some gratitude for the struggle. And any last things, Tyler?
No, that's great, Brent. I personally have appreciated the episode. I just want to say thank you to all of our listeners who are listening. If you're getting a value, please like and share these episodes. We love the feedback that you're getting. If you have questions, we would love to have you come on the show. And you can also submit questions via writing at therapybros.com.
All right, guys, have a good one. We'll see you.